What's going on, everybody? Najir, along with Sam Leterna, the voice of independent wrestling, and we're here today for something special. We're here to review the new interactive Netflix special, Escape the Undertaker, which is going to be available on Netflix October 5th, where you get a chance to pretty much take control of the New Day as they roam the Undertaker's house to try to compensate the urn that, as we know, usually represents negativity, but they're gonna take it to enhance positivity. But things ain't gonna go as planned, as the Undertaker is not willing to just turn that over just because they got an idea. It's a fun time. We're gonna talk about our reactions and stuff about it. But before we get started, Sam, how are you?
I am good. I didn't know what to expect getting into like an interactive movie, nonetheless an interactive like pro wrestling movie, because there's just like layers to where that can go from a creative standpoint. But I enjoyed it, and I think it teaches a good message overall too. You know, there was that good versus evil that was like, you know, hammered in pretty early with what Undertaker was saying about the urn. So yeah, overall I think it sends a good message.
Yeah. Few questions for you. Does this at all, and this may be a little deep, but like, do you think this changes your perspective of the fandom around the Undertaker?
I would say my perspective on like the Undertaker fandom has been progressively changing, like on and off since the streak ended, just because, you know, it adds or diminishes to his legacy. But in terms of the show itself, I think it's great that like the Undertaker is acting kind of as like the gatekeeper of wrestling. You know, like he kind of feels like that older authority figure. In that way, like in the movie. And I think that even if you don't watch wrestling and, you know, you're on Netflix and you click this and you watch it, it's established that like this is the authority figure, and then New Day is, you know, kind of like the Three Curious Kids, right? Or the Three Stooges, depends.
I agree. You know, I've been a big fan of what he's been doing, we'll say post-retirement, sort of, you know, with the cinematic match with AJ Styles, which was fantastic. And, you know, he's a character that we've grown with, and now that we're grown up, we still love. And, you know, it's always that transition of like, well, what happens when they're outside of the ring? You know, do they try to get back in there, you know, and still try to show that they got it? Or do they transition to something else? And I think this is a very good avenue for him. I love him on the stuff he's doing on television, but him as in, you know, doing cinematic stuff and voice acting, you know, for majority of this as well too, is definitely something that I'm very much a fan of and intrigued to see where it goes beyond this, because I was definitely feeling him being the big baddie in this, you know, ultimately, like you said, the battle of good versus evil, and him being the final boss. And I absolutely love this. And I also, when you think about the parents here, like if you had a blank canvas and WWE said, we need you to come up with a story of good versus evil, I mean, the Undertaker is truly like the definitive answer of like, oh, for sure, him or Kane, which Kane made a cameo in this, by the way. But
spoilers.
When you say, yeah, right. But when you say the New Day, it's like, yeah, for sure, I can see that. But like, I have never, ever in my, you know, tenure of loving wrestling thought that this was the happy couple that we needed. New Day versus the Undertaker. Boy, did I love it.
Just like individually as entities, you know, Undertaker and the New Day, and of course New Day individually, what they bring to the table, I just think the four of them are so talented. And like you said, such an unlikely not duo, but, you know, quadruplet, I guess you could say. That sounds weird. But yeah, like just the talent in that movie, you could really see that any of those four people could do things outside of wrestling. And I think that that's really important to prove to more casual fans or people that are just coming into wrestling for the first time, even through this, you know, Netflix film. So in a way, like they're doing a great job, and that does a service for wrestling, because hopefully we can garner more fans from this. You know, Netflix is a huge conglomerate. So yeah, hats off to them. And I could totally see Undertaker doing some cool voice work, or even pop culture wise. I feel like he's so ingrained in American pop culture, but now I think is an opportunity for him to take that to like a cinematic level and maybe just be that dark character, just get kind of like character typecast, is that the word? To like play these kinds of characters in films and even make cameos in a fun way, even if it's like kids films as a villain,
Yeah, absolutely agreed. It's like 15 things that came to my mind easily. I mean, when you think about, to kind of draw comparisons to what you're saying, we just had the Venom movie release, and, somebody had to voice Venom. And although the actors who played the human counterparts voiced them, I can easily them saying like, hey, we need a voice for a symbiote. Undertaker, it's clearly he's vocally trained to do that, and I think he has good range. And through the different things that happen in this, I just became more and more of a fan of him doing things outside of wrestling, because sometimes you say like, hey, he needs to hang it up, you had a good career, keep the character in check. This is clearly something that he can continue to do, and I think a lot of fans are going to support. And then to your other thing too, I know kids are going to love this. This is going to be a classic for them, but I think adults really will love this as well too. Which you put that all together, this is a very good family-friendly experience. Not just the movie, because you're not just sitting back and watching. You have to make selections here to determine the fate of this movie. So I think this is definitely going to do really well. It comes out again October 5th, so it's perfect timing considering it is spooky season. And I think a lot of people, whether you're a wrestling fan or not, whether you recognize the Undertaker, whether you're like, hey, I remember that guy. Yeah, it's him. It is him, folks. And then for the folks who do not know who the New Day is, who is the best stable of this generation right now, Big E, one of the three, is your WWE champion right now. Time for you to get on board if you've never heard of them.
Yeah, they're charismatic beyond wrestling, so get with it. Follow them on social media.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, something I wanted to ask you is that when you from your, tenure to cover wrestling and then being fans of the New Day, how much of this do you think they wrote, and how much do you think there was a script given to them?
I'm not going to lie. I don't feel like very much of it was the New Day. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
really?
I think that, I don't know, some of it was just not in a bad way. I do feel like some of it felt like scripted, like to a fault. Where I feel like the way they work together, they can work as a unit no matter what they're given. But I personally do think that if they would have wrote this, it would have been a whole lot crazier. Because we've seen, like, I know that they've planned their own, elaborate entrances for different WrestleManias, SummerSlams, stuff like that. Even with their costumes, like from top to bottom, New Day is creativity in pro wrestling, and they're always stepping up their game in that way. And I don't think that I saw that quite as strongly, but I would love to see New Day write something. I think that would be a really cool challenge for WWE to, let them take the reins and see what they can do, because these are obviously three very capable, creative people.
And as much as this is about the kids, I won't lie, I would be head over heels to see an adult version of this, where some of the lines where you can kind of see where they were going, and it was like, oh, don't say that. I think I would be really on board for.
Shredded that scary line.
Yeah. But yeah, I felt like a lot of the delivery was natural for them, but I do understand that, especially in this scenario, you're still going to have the overhead from the Netflix executive, the WWE executives, to make sure that this lands in that PG rating, because that's the goal. That's where it needs to be. That's that's where the money's at, because any little slip up of anything, and it's just like, either we got to cut it, we got to redo it, which equals more money, or we can just get this right the right time if we just give you this and you just go with it. Add little tweaks to it. There was a little bit of banter between them. One thing I wanted to bring up is, who knows when this was filmed, but it was interesting that when they had to face their biggest fears, when the power of the urn, the evil started to possess them a little bit, they brought up between Woods and E that Kofi was the one who left them. Fast forward to today, we notice that Big E is also now on his own. It's interesting to see how things are shifting around with the three of them, and they're all very successful. And it's as much as we want to keep them together, we understand that breaking them apart has given some really big opportunities for them. So I do love how they kind of played towards that. And like, as wrestling fans, you can see little Easter eggs or hear Easter eggs and stuff like that. I'm like, I know what you're saying.
And
Much
those are
like
for the wrestling fans, you know? It's like,
exactly.
if you're watching and you know, you know.
Yes, exactly.
And the fans love that kind of stuff, so it's perfect.
Yeah. You think Big E is really scared of spiders?
Honestly, he looked really uncomfortable. I was thinking that. I was like, are these real spiders? Are they mechanical spiders? Are we doing like Photoshop or whatever, you know, editing thing? Like, no, I
Yeah.
don't know. I do think that there were like one or two real spiders in there. I'm not going to
Yeah.
lie. I would have been scared too. Oof.
Yeah. The Undertaker was definitely channeling his best John Kramer from Saw or his best Joe Rogan from Fear Factor by putting Big E in this device filled with spiders as he had to like come to front with his biggest fears. I mean, that's just not right, folks. Like,
it's like a different side of the Undertaker too, in a way. Like, we always see like more of a psychological end of the Undertaker, but here it's like you get to see that like put into like a physical realm for an extended period of time past like an interview promo. So that's really fascinating.
You nailed that one. Absolutely right. I can't even agree even more. You're absolutely right. I've never seen it actually come to like, I know I'll play mind games, but actually I'm just going to deliver this. You're not taking my You're not coming in my house and I'm not going to do this, you know? So you're entirely right. What made you pick the decisions you picked?
I don't know. I tried to think of like what I knew about each character individually for the most part when it pertained to like Kofi, Xavier, and Big E directly. And I don't know, some of the situations just made me laugh, like the potential for Xavier Woods to like go alone downstairs in the basement when he seemed clearly uncomfortable and scared to do that endeavor alone. So yeah, I guess based on what I wanted to see them do, that would have been most cringy, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Yeah, you're definitely like, But you know what? Even with that being said, I never wanted to see them turn against each other. So I was definitely team loyal all the way. But I definitely was like, I'm probably going to get a laugh if I pick this decision. So let's try it. So right with you on that. And ultimately, the conclusion of this film, obviously, I'm not going to get spoilers for you because I want you all to enjoy it. But we do have the ultimate showdown versus the New Day versus the Undertaker, which, again, as a fan of the Undertaker doing cinematic stuff, we've seen it to the utmost with AJ Styles. And now this was, our Netflix vanilla version for the kids. But ultimately, I was still very much intrigued by it. So what was your thoughts about the conclusion of this film and overall your assessment of it?
Well, I like how we got that payoff first off of New Day versus Undertaker, something we haven't seen on TV, so we're getting to see it on this platform now, which gives everyone involved a reason to watch more wrestling, hopefully. But I don't know, I liked the conclusion. Like I said, just to harken back to it being kid-friendly, I feel like the conclusion really like tied everything together for the kids, and it's very clear that this is who they're trying to cater with. There's absolutely no harm in that. Kids are a big market, and New Day, I'm sure that a very big part of their demographic is very much so the children. So yeah, I think it's feel good. I think it's something that you can watch with the whole family. It doesn't take up a whole lot of your time, but if you want it to, it can, right?
Yes.
Because if you want to go through all of the options, I'm sure that's like a 4-hour process right there. Full length movie, Godfather style, but for the kids. So it really depends what you want to do with your day. But I think that the payoff at the end is really good, depending on the options you choose, of course. If you want it to be a negative ending, well, we didn't go down that path. We don't know if there's a negative ending. You'll have to check that out and see on Netflix on October 5th.
Yeah. Parents, monitor your kids, because if there's certain decisions that they pick, I got questions. I don't see how you go against the New Day at all in here, but those choices are available. But like I said, I think most of us who grew up in the New Day era, grew up with the New Day in their era, I think we're all pretty much pro New Day. So like, again, yeah, if you're picking against them, I got questions. So I need to know why.
Hey, some kids like the villains. When I was a kid, I liked the villains. I was like rooting for the Triple H's and the Ric Flairs and the all those people. But yes, always good prevails over evil, and that's what wrestling's all about, right? The fundamental struggle between the two. And this movie exemplifies that in a very simple way for kids.
Absolutely. And I'm part of the power of positivity. So you know who I was rooting for. As much as I love The Undertaker for all these years, but I can't go against my boys, The New Day. And this was a fantastic film by them. Overall, the production was good. It's fun. It's for all ages. The New Day clearly had a ton of fun in filming this. The Undertaker is continue to really throw his career into second gear here. And I think that I would love to see more interactive films from WWE, definitely with the Undertaker, or definitely even with the New Day. You know, I want to see them. I want to see what they can do beyond this. But folks, you got to check this out. Again, it's going to be available on Netflix October 5th. It is a interactive experience. We want to know your thoughts about this. You can follow Sam, the voice of independent wrestling, at Sam Leterna on all social medias. Keep up with her content, interviews, and more content coming. And then obviously, as a person that if you are looking to see what's happening in wrestling right now on the independent, she is your source for it. She will let you know what you need to watch.
I will.
But Sam, any other comments before we roll out?
No, I mean, well, yes, of course. This was my first movie review that I've ever gotten to do. I know this was not a feature-length film per se, but I'm so honored that you had me come on. I love your platform. I love what you do. It's so similar yet so different from what I do. So to be able to go into your world has been super cool. And yeah, I never would have thought of clicking on this, even if it was on Netflix, and I'm happy I did. So
Yeah.
you exposed me to something that, turned out to be pretty cool. And yeah, maybe one day you'll be able to interview the New Day. I feel like we have to manifest that for you because you're so about the power of positivity.
You said me, but we's the word here.
It can be a we.
Yeah,
It can be a
yeah.
we, but I think you as well. Like you are a big New Day fan. I can tell. So. Which is a great thing. So yeah, if it ever happens, hey, let me know. But I wish you the best, and this was awesome, and I hope we get to do it again.
Absolutely. The seat at the table is open. But again, yeah, like I said, folks, you follow her on social media, you will get all the latest news, updates, and so on the independent wrestling scenes and all the wrestling, but primarily in independent wrestling, as she is, as I said, the voice of independent wrestling. But folks, we want to know your comments about this film. Once you check it out, jump in the comments and let us know your thoughts, the decisions you made. I want to know some of those ones that may not be so popular, but may have turned out some good results. I got to go back and make a few different changes myself just to see how things are. There's multiple choices, but hey, we don't have time to do it all today. But that way you can let us know what you did. We'll be reading the comments, and when more reviews and more, shall I say, WWE content hopefully comes soon, we'll be back to cover that. So thank you everybody for tuning in. We'll see you all again very soon.